Do you want to know something strange? The people who treated you the worst, the ones who targeted you, manipulated you, tried to break you down piece by piece, they still don't understand what happened. They walked away confused. They walked away feeling like something went wrong, like the plan should have worked, like you somehow cheated. And the thing is, you didn't cheat. You just let them believe what they already wanted to believe. You let them see what they needed to see. And they fell for it. They really fell for it so completely that they still, maybe years later, haven't figured out that you were never the person they thought they were dealing with. I need you to hear something. And I mean really hear it, because I think deep down you already know this. You've known it for a long time. You just haven't had anyone say it back to you in a way that matched what you've been carrying. You played dumb so well, it honestly deserves an Oscar, like a real one, the kind of performance that people study. Not because you're fake, no, not because you're deceptive or deceptive by nature, but because you learned. You learned early. You learned that showing what you actually see, showing what you actually perceive, showing how quickly your mind actually works, that was dangerous. Yeah, that was dangerous. That got you in trouble, that made you a target. So you learned to do something else. You learned to watch without looking like you're watching. You learned to notice without reacting. You learned to be 10 steps ahead while making it seem like you were not even paying attention. And that's the part they never understood. That's the part they still don't understand. They looked at you. They saw someone who seemed quiet, maybe a little naive, maybe a little too trusting, maybe someone who just didn't quite get what was happening. And they made their move. They see and they set their little traps. They played their little games, and the whole entire time, you were watching them set it up. You were watching them think they were being so clever, so subtle, so in control. And you just let them. You just nodded. You just smiled, of course. Smiled them enough rope, as they say, enough rope to do exactly what they were going to do anyway. I want to talk about that moment. That first moment when you realize someone is not who they are presenting themselves to be. Because I think you know this moment intimately. Someone does something, says something, and there is this little thing that happens in your body. Maybe your stomach tightens, maybe your shoulders tense up just slightly. Maybe you feel this little click in your back of your mind, like a door opening, like a file being pulled. And suddenly you are looking at them differently. Suddenly you are not just listening to their words anymore. You're watching their hands, you're watching their eyes, you're noticing the timing of things, the way they say certain things a little too casually, the way they watch you when they think you are not looking back. And you're not paranoid. That's what people don't get. You're not paranoid. You're perceptive. You are picking up on actual data, actual signals that I'll really hear. Your brain is working faster than theirs. It had to. It had to. It had to develop that way. It was either develop this or not survive. And you survived. But here's where it gets lonely. Yeah. Here's where I think it's been hard in a way that most people don't talk about. When you see it, when you really see it, what someone is, you can't always say it. Because the one that sees the problem becomes the problem. You learned that too, didn't you? You learned that if you point out what's actually happening, if you name it out loud, if you try to warn people, suddenly you are the one causing problem. Drama. You are the one who is difficult. You are the one who's negative or suspicious or reading into things. Meanwhile, the person who is actually doing the thing, the person who is actually manipulating, actually lying, actually setting things up, they are standing right there, looking innocent, looking confused, looking hurt that you would ever suggest such a thing. And everyone else buys it. Yeah. Everyone else thinks they are great. They think this person is so nice, so charming, so whatever. And you are standing there holding this knowledge that nobody wants, this awareness that nobody asked for. And you have to just keep it. You have to hold it inside. You have to not react. You have to play alone. You have to give the performance. And that's what you did. You gave the performance while they were studying manipulation, while they were learning how to control people, while they were sitting back feeling so satisfied with themselves, thinking they had you right where you wanted you. You were letting them think that. You were letting them feel successful. You could see it, couldn't you? You could see them getting more confident. You could see them enjoying it. That little smile they thought they were hiding, that little look they gave to someone else, that little exchange that was supposed to go unnoticed. And you noticed all of it. And I want to validate something for you right now. That feeling you had during all the time, all of that. That tightrope feeling, that feeling of being in two realities at once. The reality everyone else was seeing, where this person was just fine, just normal, maybe even great. And the reality you were living in, where you could see the whole game laid out in front of you. That was real. That was happening. You were not making it up. You were not overthinking. You were seeing something that was actually there. And the reason it felt so isolating is because nobody else was seeing it with you. And that brings me to something I think is really important to understand about what you did, about how you handled this. Because there is a way of looking at this where you might think, well, I was just passive. I just took it. I just let it happen. But that's not what you were doing. You were being passive. No, you weren't being passive. You were being strategic. You were gathering information. You are watching patterns. You are letting them reveal themselves, letting them show you exactly who they were and exactly how they operated. And meanwhile, you're processing all of it, all of this at a speed that would probably terrify them if they could see it. You are breaking down their past behavior, their current moves, their likely next step. You are running scenarios. You are preparing responses. You are doing all of this behind a face that looks completely calm, completely unaware, maybe even a little confused. That's not passivity. That's mastery. That's a level of self-control that most people will never develop, because most people never had to. And I want to pause here for a second because I feel like I'm describing something and I want to make sure it lands. What I'm talking about is not about being manipulative yourself. No. It's not about playing games or being fake. It's about survival intelligence. It's about the kind of perception that develops when you grow up in an environment where you had to read people, where you had to know before anyone said anything what mood was coming, where you had to anticipate, where you had to be ready. That kind of awareness doesn't just turn off. It becomes part of how you move through the world. And sometimes it's exhausting. Sometimes it's heavy. But sometimes when someone comes at you with bad intentions, when someone decides you're going to be their target, that awareness becomes the very thing that saves you. Because they have no idea what they're actually dealing with. You are a very unpredictable person. And I mean that as one of the highest compliments. You are unpredictable in the sense that you don't feed the script they are trying to run. They have a plan. They have a method. They have done this before. They know how these things usually go, but they don't know you. They don't know that while they are running their little playbook, you are already on a completely different level, seeing moves ahead, understanding their psychology better than they understand it themselves. And the wildest part, the part that still gets me, is that you do all of this while looking like you're not doing anything at all. You're just there, just being, just existing, while people are trying to do their worst, while they are trying to take from you, while they are trying to break you down or humiliate you or drain you. You're just there, smiling, nodding, letting them think it's working. And they don't even know. They genuinely don't even know. There is a specific kind of person who gets targeted like this. And I think if you are hearing this and feeling it, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not random. It's not bad luck. There is something about you, something about your energy, something about the way you move through the world that attracts attention. Some of that attention is good. You drawn in genuinely good people, people who see your depth, people who appreciate your quiet strength. but you also drawn in something else, in people who are hungry, people who are empty, people who see something in you that they don't have, something they can't generate on their own, and they want it. They want it. They want to take it. They want to consume it. They see your light, your awareness, your presence, your whatever it is that makes you you. And instead of being inspired by it, they want to diminish it. They want to control it. They want to prove to themselves that they can. And so they target you. Yeah. They choose you out of everyone, out of whole sea of people. They look at you and something in them says, that one. That's the one. And honestly, if you think about it, they made the worst possible choice. Not because you're difficult or aggressive. You're not. No. But because they underestimated you completely. They saw the surface. They saw the quiet. They saw someone who seemed like an easy mark. And they had no way of knowing. They had no way of knowing about the years of training you've been through, the years of navigating difficult people, the years of surviving environments that forced you to develop abilities most people never need to develop. They walked into something they didn't understand and they thought they were in control. Here is what actually happens. And maybe you've seen this play out already. Maybe you are watching it play out right now. They build up to something. They have been doing their little things, their little pokes and prods, their subtle undermining their manipulation. And they think they are building toward a big moment, a final blow, something that's going to really take you down, really humiliate you, really prove their power. And because you've been watching the whole time, because you've been tracking every move, because you've been letting them show you exactly how they operate, you see it coming. You see the setup. You see the trap before it's even fully laid. And here is where the Oscar comes in. Here is where the performance really earns its award. You don't stop them. You don't confront them. You don't even let on that you know. You just let them walk right into it. You let them commit. You let them show their hand completely. And then something happens. Something they didn't expect. Something they couldn't have planned for. Because you've been positioning this whole time, not in an aggressive way, not in a confrontational way, but in a way that means when they finally make their move, when they finally try to deliver that final blow, the whole thing backfires. Their own energy, their own intentions, their own plans, they collapse back onto them. You barely have to do anything, you barely have to do anything. The thing they built, the scheme they constructed, it just turns around and they are left standing there confused, humiliated, exposed. Not because you attacked them, not because you did anything wrong, but because you let them be themselves. You let them show who they really are. And now everyone can see it. Not just you. Everyone. And they can't handle that. They cannot handle it. Because in their mind, they were the smart one. They were the one in control. They were the master manipulator. And to have it all fall apart, to have you standing there looking at them with that same calm face, that same unbothered expression, it breaks something in them. They want reparations. Can you believe that? They actually want compensation. They want something back from you because in their twisted perception, you are the one who did something wrong. You are the one who played them. You are the demon. You are the problem. When in reality, everything that happened to them was a direct result of their own choices, their own actions, their own energy coming back around. You didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. You just didn't stop it. You just didn't save them from their own trap. And I think that's something worth sitting with for a moment. Because there might be a part of you that feels guilty about this. A part of you that wonders if you should have done something differently. A part of you that still carries some sense of responsibility for what happened to them. Let me be clear about something. You didn't do anything to them. You defended yourself. You protected your energy. You used the awareness you developed, the skills you earned through genuine hardship to keep yourself safe. That's not cruelty. That's not manipulation. That's not even revenge. That's just not being a victim. That's just refusing to be the sacrifice. And if that makes them uncomfortable, if that makes them angry, if that makes them see you as some kind of threat or villain, that's their projection. That's their inability to face what they actually did. They thought they had pretty good discernment. They thought they could read people. They thought they knew exactly who you were and exactly what they could get away with. And they were wrong. They were completely wrong. And that's what really bothers them. Not that you hurt them, not that you did anything to them, but that you were smarter, that you saw more, that you understood things they didn't think you could understand. Your intelligence, your perception, your ability to navigate complex social dynamics while appearing to do nothing at all. That's what threatens them. Because it means they were never really in control. They were never really winning. They were just being watched. They were just being observed. And they were just being given enough space to reveal themselves completely. And now here you are. You are still standing. You are still whole. You are still yourself. And they are out there somewhere, still confused, still angry, still trying to figure out how you slipped under their radar, how you managed to come out of their attack not just unharmed, but somehow stronger, how you made their own darkness become their downfall. They don't understand it. They never will. Because to understand it, they would have to understand you. And to understand you, my beautiful soul, they would have to develop the very awareness they have spent their whole lives avoiding. They would have to face themselves. And that's the one thing they cannot do. They cannot do. You, on the other hand, you've been facing yourself for a long time. You've been doing the work without even calling it work. You've been developing your perception, your awareness, your ability to read a room and read a person and know without anyone telling you exactly what's happening beneath the surface. And yes, it came from hard things. Yes, it came from survival. Yes, it came from environments that forced you to grow up too fast, see too much, understand things before you should have had to understand them. But it's yours now. It's yours now. It's an ability. It's a strength. And you know what? You deserve to own it. You deserve to feel proud of it. Not in an arrogant way, but in a quiet, grounded way. You know what you can do. You know what you've survived. You know what you're capable of seeing and understanding. And the people who underestimated you, the people who thought you were an easy target, the people who thought they could use you and discard you, they gave you something valuable. They gave you confirmation. They confirmed that everything you've learned, everything you've become is real. It works. It protects you. It guides you. And they, poor them, they are still stuck where they have always been, running the same games on different people, never understanding why eventually somehow it always falls apart. So if you have been wondering whether you are the problem, whether you are too suspicious, whether you should just relax and trust people more and stop watching so carefully, I want to offer a different perspective. Maybe your awareness isn't the problem. Maybe your awareness is the gift. Maybe it's the thing that's kept you safe. Maybe it's the thing that's kept you from becoming one of them. Maybe the reason you can see through people so clearly is because you've spent so much time looking honestly at yourself. And maybe that's the real difference between you and the ones who tried to take you down. You're willing to see. You're willing to know. You're willing to face what's actually there. And they are not. They can't. And they will not. And that's why they're lost. That's why they will keep losing. And that's why you are still here, still standing, still growing, still becoming more of who you actually are. You gave the performance of a lifetime, not because you are fake, not because you're deceptive, but because you understood something they didn't. You understood that sometimes the smartest move is not to attack, not to confront, not to prove anything at all. Sometimes the smartest move is to simply be still, to watch, to wait, to let people show you exactly who they are. And then when the moment comes, to let their own choices their own energy, their own intentions become the thing that takes them down. You didn't have to lift a finger. You just had to be smarter. And you were. You are. You always have been, my beautiful soul. Be safe.